In a quiet mountain village surrounded by rivers, rice fields, and fresh green hills, a young man lived peacefully with his family. They were not rich in money, but they always had enough food, enough water, and enough love to survive happily together. Every morning began with sunlight touching the rice fields, while birds sang across the countryside. The family worked together, laughing, helping each other, and enjoying the peaceful rhythm of simple village life, far away from stress and noise. 3 harvests every year provided enough rice, vegetables, and fruits for the entire family. They never worried about starvation or loneliness because the land always gave them what they truly needed to survive peacefully. At night, the family gathered together inside their warm wooden home, sharing simple meals and stories beside lantern light. Even without luxury, there was peace, comfort, and happiness inside every corner of their small house. One afternoon, strangers from the city suddenly arrived in expensive clothes, with shiny cars and confident smiles. The villagers watched curiously because very few outsiders had ever visited their peaceful countryside before. The city visitors spoke proudly about money, business success, and modern lifestyles. They described tall buildings, endless opportunities, and luxurious living, as if the city was the only place where real success could exist. Then the visitors said something that changed everything. They told the villagers they were poor, backward, and wasting their lives staying in the countryside instead of chasing wealth and success in the city. For the first time in his life, the young farmer looked at his rough hands, old clothes, and simple home with doubt. He began wondering if his peaceful life was actually failure disguised as comfort. That night, he could not sleep. The words from the city visitors repeated endlessly inside his mind, making him question everything he once appreciated about village life and simple living. The next morning, he made a difficult decision. Believing the city could offer something greater, he packed a small bag and prepared to leave his home behind in search of a richer future. His family hugged him tightly before he left. His parents tried to smile, but sadness filled their eyes because deep inside they feared the city would change him forever. As he walked away from the village road, carrying only his bag and dreams, he looked back one final time at the mountains, rivers, and fields that had protected him his entire life. When he finally arrived in the city, his eyes filled with amazement. Giant buildings, neon lights, crowded streets, and endless movement made the world feel bigger than anything he had imagined before. The city felt exciting, powerful, and alive. Everywhere he looked, people were rushing, chasing money, building businesses, and living lives that seemed important and successful from the outside. Standing beneath glowing skyscrapers at night, he truly believed he had made the right decision. He imagined wealth, freedom, happiness, and a better future waiting somewhere ahead of him. But slowly, reality began revealing itself. Rent was expensive, food cost money, and survival in the city required constant work, without rest or peace, even for a single day. Every morning, he woke up exhausted before sunrise and worked long, difficult hours doing repetitive jobs just to afford another week inside the crowded, unforgiving city environment. Late at night, he returned home physically tired, mentally drained, and emotionally empty. The excitement he once felt slowly disappeared, leaving only exhaustion, stress, and loneliness behind. Even surrounded by millions of people, he felt isolated. Nobody truly cared about each other because everyone was too busy struggling, chasing money, and trying to survive themselves. One night, while eating instant noodles alone in his dark apartment, he suddenly remembered peaceful dinners with his family back in the countryside, and tears quietly filled his eyes. For the first time, he understood something painful. His family had never been poor. They had food, peace, fresh air, community, and freedom, while the city had taken all those things away. He remembered mornings filled with birdsong, rivers flowing beside green rice fields, and laughter shared between neighbors who genuinely cared about each other every single day. Meanwhile, the city remained crowded, loud, and restless. Everywhere he looked, people were exhausted, anxious, and endlessly chasing more money without ever finding real peace inside themselves. Watching thousands of stressed faces moving through crowded streets, he began asking himself a powerful question. If this was success, then why did everyone still seem unhappy and empty? Slowly, the truth became clear inside his heart. Modern society taught people to chase wealth endlessly, but forgot to teach them how to truly live peacefully and meaningfully. He realized the village had something more valuable than money. It had freedom, connection, nature, clean food, peaceful sleep, and the warmth of people who truly loved one another. Without hesitation, he made his decision. He would leave the city behind and return to the countryside before losing himself completely inside the endless cycle of modern life. As the bus traveled back toward the mountains, he watched the city slowly disappear behind him, and for the first time in years, he felt calm, peaceful, and emotionally free again. The moment he stepped back into the countryside, he breathed deeply and smiled. The fresh air, mountains, rivers, and open fields felt more valuable than all the city lights combined. Standing once again among the rice fields, he finally understood the truth. A simple, peaceful life connected to nature was never something to feel ashamed of in the first place. His family welcomed him home with tears, hugs, and joyful smiles. In that moment, he realized love and belonging were forms of wealth the city could never truly provide. This time, he returned to farming proudly, without shame, insecurity, or doubt. He no longer measured success through money, status, or the opinions of strangers from the city. The village children continued laughing and running freely through the fields, while rivers flowed peacefully beside farms full of life, food, and natural beauty. After everything he experienced, he began teaching others what he had learned. Real wealth is not endless money, but peace, freedom, food, family, and meaningful human connection. Slowly, the villagers stopped feeling ashamed of their simple lives. They began appreciating their traditions, their land, and the peaceful community that surrounded them every day. The countryside slowly became stronger, happier, and more united as people rediscovered the value of simple living, gratitude, and connection with nature once again. In the end, the young farmer realized true boldness is not blindly chasing wealth in crowded cities, but protecting a peaceful, meaningful life in a world obsessed with consumption. So he continued planting seeds, working quietly and living close to nature, while understanding something most people spend their entire lives searching for. True richness comes from peace, not possessions.